Oh, hello there! This year I decided to make my first ever Halloween themed cosplay. Yay! I haven't made a Halloween themed cosplay before, mainly because I don't celebrate Halloween because I'm in a Scandinavian country and we don't have it here. But I think it's pretty interesting as a theme and the aesthetic of Halloween, so I decided it'd be fun. So I've been filming this over the last couple of weeks and looking forward to sharing this with you. For this project, I decided to make Nami from One Piece with her Halloween themed costume. I think it's just so cute! A little pumpkin dress. Too cute, too cute! For this project, I decided to use as many materials as possible as I already had at home in my stash. Because I have a lot of stuff and fabric and materials. Alright, and we're starting out with the sword! I decided to make this sword in wood, as I've done with, for example, my Urbosa and Inosuke cosplay, and I've been getting a few comments on how I made these, so let's get to it!
I start out with referencing and sketch the pattern by hand. I have no footage of this, but you can find the pattern below for free personal use. Always wear a mask, safety glasses and earmuffs. I also cover my hair. Start with tracing your pattern onto the wood. This is a 7mm birch plywood I bought at the craft store. I use my jigsaw to cut out my pieces. I do not have a proper setup for my camera in the workroom, so whoops. I level out the cut with my rotary tool. Next, I use this rasp file to file down the edge of the sword. I've marked the middle and worked my way down one side at a time with even strokes. I then use several grits of sandpaper, from 40 up to 200, to smooth this out. I start with my machine and then work by hand. Time for the handle! Here I sandwich the sword base between two additional layers of wood. I use regular wood glue, clamp it down, and then let properly dry before I glue the other side. I did mess up the top layer of the handle when I first sketched it out, but don't worry, we'll fix that later. I use my quilt ruler to mark the carvings for the handle. I once again use the rotary tool to smooth out the edges. I also use the rotary tool as well as a carving knife to work my way through the wood of the handle. I love this process. Another way to get nice sharp edges is folding 80 grit sandpaper on a stick. I found a perfect gem in my stash and glued aluminum foil to the back for extra shine. I decided to mix up the medias and used foam and Worbla for the rain guard. I also used Worbla to fix the shape of the handle. I found that Worbla and wood works really well together. The Worbla sticks to the wood, and actually there's sawdust in the Worbla, so I guess you could technically say it's still wood. I used the rotary tool once again to smoothen out the Worbla. I super glue leather string around the gem to get a nice and even edge. Regular light filler on the Worbla that I let properly dry and then sand smooth. I do this process twice. For a competition cosplay, I'd put in more effort into priming and sanding, but I wanted this to be quick. Next I use wood glue to prime, but also to seal the filler. The handle took several layers. Look at this clever stand. It's a flower vase. Next is filler spray. This also takes several layers, with sanding in between. When the sword is all primed and ready, I use acrylic spray paint as a base. This is done in several layers, and I use masking tape and plastic wrap to protect what's already been painted. For the blade, I use silver and gunmetal grey. The trick here is to not go too heavy on the spray paint, but to make sure that your base work is really neat. Time to peel off that masking tape. So satisfying, right? When priming and painting, I use a baking sheet to protect my workspace. For the golden parts, I use the brown base paint, and then I dab on the gold paint with a sponge tool. Dab, dab, dab. 2 layers. Dab, dab, dab. Dab, 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 dab. I mix red and black acrylic paints to dry paint on shade on the red part. Some final touches around the gem with some gold and black paint. Lastly, I seal the handle with a semi-gloss varnish.
And there we have it! The sword is done, and the next video I will show you how I made the pumpkin dress. Take care! Bye!
And lastly, like and subscribe. Whoa!